Alrighty, everybody. Now, I already talked about this documentary and the person who's making it several times before on my channel, but a new trailer for it came out, so I can't really ignore it. You guys were asking me to cover it, you guys requested it, and I shall give it to you. So, I think Matt Walsh might be one of the most repellent pieces of shit that is employed at Daily Wire. The guy has recently declared 2022 his year of the war on gender ideology. And part of that has entailed, holy shit, thank you. Oh my god. Just throwing that right in at the beginning of the segment. I appreciate that. Thank you. Very kind of you. I'll read that in a moment, but really quick. Anyway, we've talked about this documentary already. I've talked about Matt Walsh already. Matt Walsh is a massive piece of shit. The guy, to make this documentary, was emailing a bunch of trans people, even trans, like parents of trans kids, in an attempt to fool them into appearing in this documentary under the false pretense that it was a pro-trans documentary. I'll put on the shadow onesie soon. It is not a pro-trans documentary. It is a decidedly anti-trans documentary, and it is called What is a Woman? And it is a mix of, obviously, a hit piece like documentary that was made under these false pretenses, as well as like an extended, higher budget Caitlyn Bennett video. You know how Caitlyn Bennett, the poo-poo pants gun girl, should go to some college campus and then find like some random liberal college student, ask them why they don't like Trump, and then if they can't explain why they don't like Trump, she's like, see? The left is bad and stupid, and that would be the video. And then like every once in a while, like a college student that like knows anything about politics would come along and then challenge her, and she'd be like, and then they'd forget to edit that out of the video, and then everyone would make fun of her, and literally everybody would dunk on her. Fun times, fun times. Anyway, imagine that, but scaled up and given a much bigger budget. That's what this is going to be. And I don't feel like I need to talk much about Matt Walsh himself, considering Matt Walsh is a piece of shit, and I've talked about him plenty. And considering that he is the one spearheading this operation, that should say enough. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this horrible trailer.
What is a woman? Can you tell me that? Well, you're at the Women's March. You must have some idea. Please, if one person could tell me what a woman is.
You are not here for women. We ask you to leave.
What is that?
All right. So the first thing we have to talk about is the question, what is a woman? Well, currently I believe I think it's the Webster's Dictionary currently has a definition that's something along the lines of a woman is a human adult who identifies with the gender typically associated with female. I believe is the current like Webster's dictionary definition, which is obviously a definition that is completely open to trans women being included in it. Now, something worth pointing out here is, of course, the fact that these types of transphobes are not threatened by trans men, so their activism and this is activism, okay, to be clear, even when you're advocating for taking away the rights of a marginalized group, that is still activism, technically. Matt Walsh's activism doesn't really tend to attack trans men. He is decidedly attacking trans women because the group that he's trying to appeal to, these young men that feel as though the conception of a lot of young men that are watching Matt Walsh's content feel like gender is one of the most straightforward, just, you don't need to go to school or learn about this to understand it. There's men and women, penis, vagina. It's simple as that. They don't want or need, and they cannot allow it to be any more complicated than that. To introduce the idea that gender, something they consider to be so binary, so straightforward, and so intuitive to them, to be not how they thought it was, shatters their world for them. It shatters their worldview. So for a lot of these young guys, they feel very threatened by that. They feel like, you'll hear this a lot in a lot of conservative propaganda, men are turning into women and women are turning into men. People don't know who they are anymore. Like, you'll hear them say this all the fucking time. And if you're not really clued into what it means, then you probably think it's just rambling garbage. But if you know what it means, you know it is dog whistling. They're exhibiting the fact, or sorry, I should say, they are expressing the fact that they are frustrated that more people in society are feeling free to express themselves in the way they feel, is more true to themselves. In this case, it is Matt Walsh running around, I guess, a protest, asking a bunch of feminists, what is a woman? And I suppose if they cannot answer that question, what is a woman, that automatically means their entire worldview is now incorrect. If you're watching this video and you're a Matt Walsh fan, the current dictionary definition, I believe the Webster's dictionary, is for a woman is an adult human who identifies the gender typically associated with the female sex. If you understand that definition to be a fairly reasonable one that is also recognized by the vast majority of the academic scene right now, then the fact that some random feminists on the street not knowing that definition should not change whether or not it's true. By the way, definitions have never and are never set in stone. The definition I just told you guys, the one that like benefits me, is not set in stone. That definition is not set in stone. It may change in the future. It genuinely may. It's changed in the past, and it may change in the future. Words like this, words with definitions, these have... they're fluid. They change. We developed language and we developed words and definitions and categories because of their utility. Not really. It's a person who can give birth. Who says? Pete Griswold. Who says that? And where like inscribed in the cosmos by God or something does it say a woman is a person who can give birth? If you believe a man can get pregnant like in Junior, then you insane Jin the membrane. I have to say, when insane conservatives with wrong opinions come to my chat, the fact they can never string together a proper sentence with good grammar or correct spelling, it almost makes me think like, are you a fan of mine pretending to be like a brain-dead conservative? It almost makes me think it's a fan trolling almost, because they can't even they can't spell. But yes, there are men who can get pregnant. There are men who can get pregnant. It is true. I have seen pregnant men on the internet, on Twitter. It's happened. We all stop being women after menopause, apparently. This motherfucker doesn't know anything about biology. You stop being a woman. You stop being a woman once you get any type of disease or birth defect or any type of thing that causes you to not be able to give birth at all or have a baby. That also makes you not a woman. Oh, you had an ectopic pregnancy? Oh, I guess you're not a woman then. Because women are only people who can give birth. Got them. Listen, when conservatives and transphobes try to dream up a definition of woman that doesn't include trans women, it typically doesn't work out very well and tends to exclude cis women. Almost always, when they try to dream up a definition of woman that doesn't include trans women, that definition excludes cis women. Some cis women, which... the definition of woman should never do. The definition of woman should never exclude any woman. So yeah. All right, let's continue.
I'm a husband. I'm a father of 4. I host a talk show. I give speeches. I write books. I like to make sense of things.
A woman is not anything in particular.
There is not one particular thing.
It could be many things to many people.
Some women have penises, right? Some men have vaginas.
For the record, these are like the doctors, surgeons, academics, medical professionals, and no doubt the trans people that Matt Walsh tricked with this documentary, by the way. No doubt it'll be quite deceptively edited to make them look bad as well.
I like scented candles, and I've watched Sex and the City.
Yeah.
How do I know if I'm a woman?
That's a great question.
You're not a scientist. You're not a gender studies major.
No.
How do you know that you're a man?
I guess because I got a dick.
Wait, what? This is the guy that he has on to agree with him? Wait. This is the guy that he brought on to agree with him. Don Sucher, Star Wars shop owner. I've always known I'm a guy because I got a dick. Okay, there we go. You know what? That right there, that's conservative logic, if I've ever seen it. Can't deny it.
Can a man become a woman?
I'm not a woman, so I can't really answer that.
Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is? Do you want to tell us what a woman is?
I like how this is like just finding random people and like fucking with them. And oh yeah, the editing, of course, is meant to be very dramatic. It's meant to make these people look as bad as possible. So literally all that happened here is these people don't know how to answer that question, I guess. Or maybe they do. I mean, Matt Walsh is the one who made the documentary. He can edit it as much as he wants. Like, when you're the one making the documentary, you can edit it however you like. But yeah, regardless, I mean, I don't know what point that's supposed to prove. I guess the person there didn't know what a cat, what the definition of cat was. I mean, honestly, if you had to like pin me down on like an academic definition of cat, I'd probably have to think for a second. Like, I never really thought about it. I just see a cat and I say that's a cat. I mean, I guess a cat is a animal that we have ascribed the nickname to. They are in the feline genus, I think. I don't know. Like, I need a little bit more to go off of there. I need a little bit of ketamine and a textbook to rifle through for a minute to be able to like absorb the knowledge to give that answer. I don't know what the point of that is, but yes. You disagree with my linguistic prescriptivism. You must be insane then. Xander Hall, the funniest thing about biology is that the closer you look, the harder it gets to distinguish animal species. Let's not talk about that too much. It's crazy.
I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male. I will never be a man.
And so they go on the internet and they're told that all of their problems will be...
I don't agree with the boomer take about, like, that's the Blair White opinion. That's like the Blair White, what's his name? Buck Angel take. Oh, this is the guy that, or not the guy. Misgendering cis women! I'm misgendering cis women on stream! Oh my god! This might be the first time I've ever misgendered somebody on stream, and I misgendered a cis woman. You know what? I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I was transphobic to a cis woman before I was ever transphobic towards a trans woman. Because, God knows, I'm more misogynistic than I am transphobic. It's like an unstoppable force meeting an unmovable object, you know? Like, I'm super pro-trans, but really misogynistic, so it's like, they kind of like, it's like a fluctuating... I don't know. This bit's getting hard. Anyway, this bitch debated Walsh, and it was really, really funny. There was this one... If you're not going to watch that whole debate, I recommend you just watch this one clip where Walsh says people like Jordan Peterson will, take something like Bill C-16, create a massive moral panic about it. Nothing bad will actually happen, but they'll grift their entire career off of a moral panic they started from nothing. And she responds to him by saying, if you're going to start insulting me, then I'm just going to leave. And Vosh is like, wait, but I was talking about Jordan Peterson. She I don't know if she wasn't listening or if she just immediately heard him. I think I don't know what that was, but I think she wasn't paying attention entirely, heard him accuse Jordan Peterson of being a grifter who has no idea what he's talking about, and then realized, oh wait, that's what I'm doing, and then thought that Vosh was referring to her. If you want to see her get absolutely annihilated, I highly recommend watching that debate. All of her talking points that she's been allowed to spew unchallenged get absolutely demolished. It was very fun to watch. It's definitely a good Vosh debate. Highly recommend. Obviously, the points that she would make in this documentary are some of the points that get demolished in said debate. Worth a watch.
Be solved if they become a man.
So you worry that there could be a sort of social contagion element of this?
So this is a narrative that has really gotten popular among the Matt Walsh audience, and it is just a rebranding of an already existing conspiracy theory that has since been debunked, okay? So back in the day, it was called rapid onset gender dysphoria. And it was debunked. It's not real. The only evidence that it was real were from literal online surveys on TERF websites, specifically gender-critical, anti-trans TERF websites that surveyed parents of trans kids, supposedly. That is the only place where data has come from. A fake survey of probably fake people, let's be real, is all that exists to suggest that rapid onset gender dysphoria is real. However, they've rebranded it to social contagion, and they've sort of rebranded and rewrapped the explanation for how this same exact thing that they once said was happening that's been debunked could possibly be happening. And that is the social contagion talking point. And their claim is, and I want to be clear here, I'm not claiming that trans men are women, okay? What I'm saying here is paraphrasing, or maybe even actually almost direct quoting, honestly. I'm direct quoting / paraphrasing as much as possible what the conservative take is on this. On TikTok right now, and in our schools, there is an epidemic. Young women are being led to believe that the world is so hostile to them by feminism that they're beginning to mutilate themselves and believing to turn themselves into men to escape the bigotry they've been led to believe exists due to feminism. That is, right now, what the current conservative talking point is against trans men. Now, it's not very focused on, because conservatives and the audience of these conservative demagogues don't consider trans men to be a threat. They think of trans men as being delusional women, more or less. And let's be real, conservatives don't view women as a threat unless the women are in the media that they like. Or it's a woman they want to have sex with, but that woman doesn't want to have sex with them. Those are the only times they see women as a threat, like on a physical level, you know? Regardless, most of their talking points don't tend to touch on that kind of stuff, but when it does, it's very much about how this epidemic on TikTok is turning these young girls into men because they want to, I guess, escape from the fake misogyny that TikTok has told them about. It's really bizarre. It's no different than the same talking points that got really popular back during Gamergate about how Tumblr was turning everybody into otherkin or whatever. Do you guys remember that? Where the talking point was like that Tumblr was turning an entire generation into otherkin, and then it didn't happen. When was the last time you heard about otherkin, really? I don't know.
Teeny tiny bit, maybe.
It got me at 42. Your child doesn't have a chance.
And you're affirming it with hormones that have never been used in this way.
Puberty.
But they have been. The funny thing is, with this documentary, all that it will be at the end of the day is tricking a bunch of people under false pretenses into saying things on camera that they can then deceptively edit into pushing a narrative. However, the problem with that narrative is, at the end of the day, it still doesn't hold up to reality. The data, the studies, it's all still there to back up all these positions. Even if they distill this misinformation into a very pretty high-budget documentary, it's not going to change the fact that we will still always have sure, you've got your really pretty high-budget documentary paid for by billionaires, but we've got all the data and studies and the facts. Like, you can point me to as many anecdotal stories about this person or that person as you like. I like facts and studies and data, not feelings and anecdote. I'm sorry.
Blockers, which are completely reversible.
Completely reversible.
One of the drugs used is Lupron, right? Which has actually been used to chemically castrate sex offenders.
You know what? I'm not sure that we should continue with this interview.
You don't want to talk about the drugs that you give to kids, or?
So I'm pretty sure the way that Lupron is used to chemically castrate isn't even close to correct medical terminology. It's very much like when you say chemically castrate, that is essentially the equivalent of when conservatives say like sexual reassignment surgery is lobbing someone's dick and balls off. Like bottom surgery. It's basically the same like oversimplification they do, like chemically castrate. This is not that's not what's done. My understanding for Lupron specifically as a hormone block is Lupron. Hold on, I want to make sure that I'm correct about this, because obviously I'm talking about. Listen, people like Matt Walsh, Blair White, these conservative demagogues that hate trans people, they don't actually care about the truth. They don't care if they're like spreading dangerous, harmful misinformation to their audience that could hurt them. They don't give a shit. As long as they get the view and they get their dollar at the end of the day, they don't give a fuck if you die. Okay, if you died, but it left your computer playing their videos on loop over and over and over again. Oh, wait, well, hold on. Actually, let me say this even better. If they had a button that they could press that would kill every single one of their fans, but leave their fans' computers on, or their subscriber, it would kill every single one of their subscribers in real life. They would drop dead from a heart attack. But their computers would be left on forever, auto-playing on a loop every single one of his YouTube videos forever, so he'd keep on making money. They would hit those buttons in an instant, okay? They do not give a shit about you, your health, your safety, or your well-being. They care only about how many views that your watching brings in and how much money you can make them. I do give a shit about your health, so we're gonna look into this. Is Lupron used to castrate sex offenders? Let's find out from clinicaltrials.gov. So this is a study that was on the cognitive behavioral psychotherapy with using leuprolide acetate, LA, to people who had just gotten saline injections. That was just the control group. They gave a group the LA. They gave one group Lupron. They gave one group Lupron, they gave one group saline injections as a control, and they compared them, and these were 5 white male pedophiles. Wait, these are 5? That was their... Wait, hold on. 5? Whoa, hold on. The study compared saline injections, 5 white male pedophiles, for a 2-year study. It was 5 people that took part in this study? Is it used for transition? The first thing that comes up if you search Lupron, is it used for transition, is the Christian Post. The first story that comes up from the Christian Post is, doctors speak out, Lupron and the diabolical push to sterilize our children. Then fourth wave now, Lupron, what's the harm? Here's one from phsa.ca. This is puberty blockers for youth. All right, puberty blockers for youth. This is when I search, is Lupron used for gender transition? This is the first site that comes up that is not a conservative like .org or like a Christian Post or whatever, like a .org site. When I search Lupron, is it used for transition? Was this site phsa.ca, Transcare of British Columbia. Provincial Health Services Authority. So this is the first thing that comes up, and this is what they say. Puberty blockers for youth. Information on puberty blocker medication used to delay the onset of puberty. So this is the actual Canada's like medical consensus here. The changes to your body that happen during puberty can be distressing if they are not in line with your gender. Puberty blockers can help relieve this distress. Delaying puberty gives you more time to explore your gender identity before changes happen to your body that can't be reversed. If you're under age 19, the criteria for getting a prescription for puberty blockers are a long-lasting and intense pattern of gender nonconformity or gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria emerged or worsened with the onset of puberty. Coexisting psychological, medical, or social problems, if any, are stable enough to start treatment. The adolescent having given informed consent. The consent of your guardian is preferred, but not absolutely necessary under the BC Infants Act. Usually an endocrinologist, hormone specialist, monitors puberty blockers and hormone therapy for youth due to changing needs during adolescence. The endocrinologist can work with your primary care provider for routine monitoring. The puberty blocker used most often in BC is called Lupron Depot. Wait, this is different. This is different from what they were just... Wait, this is a different thing, isn't it? Wait, I don't think you guys understand, but like, listen, I'm not super like aware, like I'm not super knowledgeable on this, but like, very, very small changes in the name of a chemical or a medication can have extremely big effects on what it actually does to you. Okay? So if there's a type of Lupron that they use to chemically castrate, like pedophiles, that isn't necessarily the same type of that they would use. Even like the dosage is different. Like for example, we talked about ivermectin. Yeah. So ivermectin, a human dose is just a smaller dose of ivermectin. A horse dose is just a larger dose of ivermectin, right? And then obviously you can also like then there's like HeartGard for dogs and stuff. You have a really small dose for your dog. Like I know this because when I first got my dog when I was younger, she had really bad heartworms. Had to take HeartGard for a while, and it was tough on her. And dosage really matters with HeartGuard and with like that kind of stuff, because you take too much, you can kill a small dog by giving them too much, right? Changes in so much as like dosage can change in what it does, right? Literally, like the formaldehyde in vaccine argument too. Yeah, there's formaldehyde in some vaccines, but obviously not enough to hurt you. Is called Lupron Depot. So I assume somebody said the depot just means it's injected. Okay. It is given through a monthly injection in the thigh. Lupron Depot is quite expensive. It costs around $400 a month. It is covered by BC Pharmacare. Some families have the cost covered by the Pharmacare plan. Plan G, extended healthcare plans, may also cover this medication. So this is the actual truth of how this is prescribed and how this is actually like done. Coming from someone who isn't just like, I don't know, some person either edited out of context and tricked into appearing on a documentary under false pretenses, or, you know, from some random person on the street that can't define woman. This is the actual Canada's health organization, their current process and how they deal with puberty blockers and youth. And it is done with a endocrinologist and with psychologists working in conjunction to ensure that it is not being falsely prescribed. It is reversible, and it is not being done like at a willy-nilly drop of a hat because your kid just decided they wanted to play with Barbies instead of G.I. Joes today. Like, that's not how it's happening.
How can they be removing the healthy breasts of 15-year-old girls?
There are masculine girls. There are feminine boys.
So I'm going to take a wild guess and say this person here with the giant chest tattoo and the bottom surgery isn't a 15-year and the facial hair isn't a 15-year-old girl. Yeah, multiple tattoos. Yeah, I'm going to guess the multiple tattoos. I'm going to guess this person is not a 15-year-old girl. You know? Also, I think we know Jordan Peterson's positions on trans people. By the way, as I should mention, Jordan Peterson and his whole like anti-trans career started out with him raising hell over the Canadian Bill C-16 that passed back in 2016. Do you guys, was it 2017, 2016? I can't remember. Do you guys know how many people have been arrested for gender discrimination due to Bill C-16? 0. The future that Jordan Peterson fearmongered his career, the horrendous future that Jordan Peterson doomsday prophesized to his audience and built his career on never came, and nobody cares. They still take him seriously. They'll still interview him and treat him as though he's someone worth taking seriously on this issue, because these conservative figures do not care about integrity. They do not care about the truth. They don't care about your safety or your well-being. All they care about is that right now you agree with them, and you will continuously watch their videos. You will shill to their mug clubs and their subscription services and their Blaze TVs or whatever the fuck it is. You will give them endless amounts of money, never challenge your ideas, and you will nonstop just gobble up the same regurgitated garbage over and over and over and over again, and never really challenge the opposition either. If you're a conservative and you're watching this right now and you think that your favorite conservative demagogues challenge the opposition when they go to college campuses or walk up to random people on the street and like ask them out of nowhere, what is a woman? If you think that's them like challenging the opposition, then you're delusional. They do not challenge the opposition. People like Steven Crowder, when they're put into a situation where they have to go up against a left-wing debater on their tier that knows what they're talking about, like Sam Cedar, they pussy out. I'm sorry, but you want to live in an echo chamber. They want you to live in an echo chamber, to keep on consuming the same trough of pig slop and to keep on letting them fuck you in the ass for it. Because every time you watch their videos and you gobble up their lies, you're giving them money. They're fucking you in the ass and you're thanking them for it. And for the gays in the chat, it's not even in the fun gay way either. It's the more like metaphorically sort of fuck you kind of way.
Girls. There are masculine girls. There are feminine boys. What are we going to do about that? Carve them up?
How can this whole thing be happening?
No. I really do love, so right now, as I said before, I told you this already, by the way, as I said before, right now the narrative is that there can't be masculine girls and feminine boys anymore. They have to be, they have to transition now. We got to carve them up, is of course. They'll always, these people are not interested in the truth. There is a reason why they use terms like carve them up or chop their balls and their dicks off and cut off their there's a reason why they use terms like this, why they speak so devoid of any academic truth, right? That they really dumb down their language, and it's because they're demonizing these surgeries. They're trying to demonize anything that looks academic, anything that make it sound more violent, so it sounds scarier. But really, what it is at the end of the day to demonize academia. It's to demonize academia. I remember recently I did a debate with somebody who I'm sure is actually a really good friend in some way with Matt Walsh, named James Hake. Do you guys remember James Hake? I went on a panel and I debated James Hake and T-Jump with Dylan Burns, and it it was something. Hold on, can I find the point in the video where he says the quiet part out loud about academia? This is him saying the quiet part out loud, okay? If you ever wonder what conservatives truly believe about academia, about women, and about the truth, this clip is all you need.
Agenda, because the society is developing a more female mind. My two questions are, what is wrong with the female mind, and how can you comment about gender when you only respect the male gender?
Well, first of all, women need love and guidance, not so much respect.
What's wrong with love and guidance?
Okay, me and Dylan were writing notes to each other on the table. Like we had a notepad. We both had notepads to write notes on, but we also put a piece of paper between us, and we're like writing on the same piece of paper, like, what the fuck is this guy on? And like chuckle. It was like passing notes in class. It was really, really funny.
They need love and guidance. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with love and guidance.
Okay then.
Yeah, they need love and guidance. They don't so much need respect.
They don't need respect?
Right.
They don't need respect?
Yeah, because
Why not?
Because what's happening is men are openly being disrespected in America, and so it's like the roles have reversed. It's because like a woman should respect her husband and the man should love his wife. So, what was your question? What was your first question?
My question is like...
Oh, a female mind.
Yeah, what's wrong with female mind?
It frequently will listen to Satan. It'll be illogical. A woman is more... Every single night, thank you. A woman is more emotional, frequently more intellectual. And by intellectual, I mean getting into your mind and, like what I said about liberalism, leftism, rationalizing evil, where you turn gay into being okay, you turn the transgender into being something that you should really support, when in reality you should be decent to all people.
Okay, so if you do believe that women are like inherently evil because they live in the Satan, okay, so why aren't you even commenting on gender if you only respect the male gender then?
No, I mean, I respect the female.
I'm trying so hard right now up on the stage to not lose my shit. I'm biting my lip, I'm biting my tongue so hard, and I'm doing that little... I'm doing that.
Gender, but the female gender should
be... It doesn't sound very respectful, anything that you said.
Well, the women should... women should really be quiet about politics.
Okay, then I guess I'm done here.
No, you don't have to be done.
What do you mean, Hake? You just won. You got your goal, right? You're the normal one.
No thanks.
If you, he more or less just basically laid it all out there right then and there, right? Like just full. That was essentially the full mask off opinion that Matt Walsh wishes he could say in this trailer on YouTube. That is the opinion that Matt Walsh would like to push in his documentary, the philosophy, the thought process, but that was the mask coming off. Not only do they hate women, not only do they think women are on a mental and intellectual level inferior to men, but they also see the academic community not only do they see obviously trans people, gay people as being evil, as he said, but they see that the data, the studies, the academic consensus that validates trans people, gay people, etc., that is just leftists trying to rationalize evil, and that being intellectual is rationalizing evil. That is what they believe. They believe that intellectualism, that academia, that changing your opinion when new data or new information that contradicts your currently held one comes along is a bad thing, that is rationalizing evil. They champion, very much like the woke scold. I've talked about how woke scolds are very much against the idea of defending your own positions. Very much like the woke scold, these conservatives, they almost see it as a sin to care about the truth. You're allowed to front like you care about the truth. You're allowed to pretend like you care about the truth. You're not allowed to actually care about it, though. You can't do that. That's pushing the line.
Happening, Matt.
I wanted us to have a safe place to be able to talk about this.
Part of me wants to ask why you care so much.
I care about the truth. I care about children. I care about the women who are having their opportunities stolen from them.
Is it transphobic?
Hey, look, they got the two trans athletes that did well and like won some championships of whatever sport they did. The swimmer and the who was it, the MMA fighter, the boxer or whatever, the two people that you always see. My favorite though is like the countless images that TERFs and conservatives have used to try to claim that trans people are competing, or that like trans women are destroying cis women in sports, and they'll show a picture of what you're supposed to think is like a trans woman, choking out a cis woman, but then it turns out that's actually a trans man choking out a cis woman because the trans man is being forced to compete against cis women and isn't being allowed to compete with men because of anti-trans policies. And he was, yeah. We live in a world.
To tell the truth?
The interview's over. Let's turn off the cameras.
Excuse me.
They're fair. I just wanted to know, what is a woman?
And you're not going to find out.
Based on what I'm saying, would you ever want to move to America?
They say no, never.
Okay. Also, I do have to say, this imagery right at the end is perfect, okay? If you ever meet somebody who has a corkboard wall like this, run away immediately, all right? I know he doesn't actually have this, and this is imagery for like the movie or for the documentary or whatever. But to be clear, in real life, when somebody has a corkboard wall with strings connecting dots and connecting lines with people's pictures and news articles and stories, you've met an insane person. And I do like the fact that they have shamelessly and unironically and probably with no self-awareness whatsoever depicted themselves as the psychopaths with the corkboard wall and the indecipherable like jumble of people and pictures and article, like, yeah, they're so fucking obsessed with a conspiracy that just isn't real. Sometimes I wonder if maybe this moral panic over trans people, over the LGBT community, extends from like, you guys know Maslow's hierarchy of needs? The idea that we have like, okay, we've got our base needs, like the shit you need to survive, food, water, shelter, etc. But then you've got like on top of that, the stuff you want. Stuff that's like, once you've got those things that you need, like air and stuff like that, then you start to get, like to stuff that you don't necessarily need to live, but you'd go crazy without it, and you'd live you'd almost want to die without it, right? That's human contact. That's like sunlight, decent temperature, access to a decent temperature at some amount of time. Like, imagine if you were literally always too hot. Like you were like literally 24/7, you were always sweating your ass off because it was always too hot. Or if you were always shivering 24/7 because it's too cold. Like never being comfortable. Like that would be like a second, like if you never had access to these things, then you'd probably want to kill yourself before going on living. And then above that, you get like, you know, base level luxuries, but like society would crumble without them. That's like your cars and your like microwave and electricity. Like you kind of need it to function in society, but you don't need it to live. Technically, you could probably handle it. And then on top of that, you've got like, I feel like more intangible desires. But I feel like those desires are just as needed, right? You know, maybe that desire for you, maybe you seek out that additional desire or that additional luxury in the form of hobbies or in the form of like video games or working out or exercising or helping others or contributing to the world. But for these people, they get their top tier of the hierarchy out of bringing down others and obsessing with trans people and obsessing with the idea that there's a cabal that is pushing an agenda on our children to turn them trans, and that if we fight it, then we can save the world. I guess they've convinced themselves that they live in that reality because it gives them something to do. Because let's be honest, a lot of the types of people watching this type of content are middle to upper class, white, suburban people who probably don't have much above them to achieve, you know, compared to the average person, right? I don't know. It just, you don't see like a lot of poor, like the type of poor, racist, homophobic, transphobic white person that exists is not the type of transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic, whatever racist white person that's watching this type of content. Like if you're like the trailer park, Confederate flag, gravel road, no Wi-Fi, no cell phone signal, no cell phone kinda, you know, hillbilly kind of conservative, if that's what you are, you're not watching Matt Walsh. You're just not. That's not that's not the type of content you're consuming. At best, you're watching Tucker Carlson. The type of people watching Matt Walsh are probably the more tech-savvy and wealthy boomers, mostly, you know, probably adult, like 30s to mid-20s and teenaged white conservative dudes. It's probably the demographic he's after. Regardless, anyway, listen, if you enjoyed this segment, please consider dropping a like both on the stream if you're watching live and on the video if you're watching this after the fact when it goes up on YouTube. Likes are not a simple hollow gesture. They do help the channel, and YouTube does boost videos in the algorithm if they get a lot of likes. And of course, you can subscribe and ring the bell icon if you want to see more from me on YouTube so you can actually get notified when I upload, go live, or upload new content. And of course, if you want to see more from me online, you can follow my social media link down below. And if you want to support me financially and help me raise money to get a new chair and pay my bills, you know, afford food, stuff like that. This is my full-time job. You can always support me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub over on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or even supporting me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or even through Patreon. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.